Recording has started. So let's have a recap of yesterday's class. Yesterday we talked about what web development is. Then we talked about the parts of a web application. We talked about the front end, the server side, and the back end, and the database. And I told us that the server side and the database are usually called the back end. Then we talked about the front end. We said at the front end we have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, and we started with HTML yesterday. So, and I told us that HTML helps us to create the layout of your page. Then we talked about tags. What is a tag? Then in that class, I told us that a tag is a command in HTML. So let's start from there. Having discussed how to what a tag is and how to create a tag, let's say Chinedu. Then let's say Jide, and let's say I have Adam. So to create a tag, yesterday, if I want Chinedu to, let's say I want Chinedu to sleep, I can write it like this, and Chinedu will sleep. If I want Jide to talk, I'll come here and say talk. Then I can press it, and if I want Adamu to let's say run, I can say run like this. So this is where we stopped yesterday. How to create a tag. Today we want to talk about attributes. What is an attribute? An attribute explains the characteristics of a tag. Or better still, I can say an attribute gives better or more description. Someone is there. Hand, please. You can. Ojola Oluwa, please. You can ask your question if you have any question. Hello. Okay, let's proceed. An attribute explains the characteristics of a tag, or better still, we can say an attribute gives us better explanation of a tag. Let me give an instance. Let's start from this. Here we have one, but we don't know how fast. We are telling Adamu to run, but we didn't tell Adamu the speed, how fast we want Adamu to run. Here we tell Jide to talk, but and that's all. We didn't tell Jide how Jide should talk. Should Jide talk fast or something like that. Here we are telling Chinedu to sleep. We are not telling Chinedu to maybe sleep with coverlet, or we are not giving description. We are just a tag is just to give a command. While an attribute gives us more description or gives us more explanation about that command. How do we want that command to work? For instance, again, we are telling Adamu to run, but we are not telling Adamu the speed of that. That is what an attribute helps us to do. A tag will just tell us the command without giving us explanation or without describing that command. But with attribute gives us better explanation about that command, makes it clearer. It makes things clearer. So let's look at this together. An attribute is a key value pair. It's a key value pair. Key to value pair. You have a key and you have the value of that key. Let me use Adamu as an example. Here we have run. We can now say, let's determine the speed. Adamu should run with this speed, 50 meter per something like this, per minute. So a tag is this one, but this speed is giving us more description about this tag. Why a tag is to tell us Adam, a tag is saying that Adamu should run. An attribute is giving us more information. Is like you are being precise. That is what an attribute is. This is an attribute of this tag. We are saying that this one at this speed, this sleep, we can say, maybe you want you to sleep with coverlet. You can say coverlet is yes, something like this. So this is.
Please, can we see your screen?
Oh, sorry, you can't see my
Maybe.
screen. I'm sorry. Sorry. Oh, my bad. Can we see my screen now?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, let me start again. Um, an attribute. Let me. Is that this? Start again. An attribute explains the characteristics of a tag, and an attribute is in key value pair, a key and a value. Here we have this. Here we are saying Chinedu should sleep, Jide should talk, Adamu should run. These are the tags. But with this tag, we are not telling Adamu the speed. This we are giving Adamu a command without being precise. Run, but at what speed? We are not telling Adamu how to do that. So an attribute gives us more information about that tag. This one is a tag, but we want to be more descriptive. We want to be exact, and that is where attribute comes in. It explains that tag the more. We are being definite now. So we can now say speed. Let the speed be. Let me go back to the speed we used the other time. 100 meters per minute, something like this. So we are now being specific. Run at this speed. Run at the speed of 100 meters per minute. This speed is an attribute. It is an attribute of this run. That is giving us more information about this run. So now Adamu will not just run, but Adamu will run at this specific speed. Like I said, an attribute is a key value pair. What does that mean? This is the key, and this is the value of that key. We can change the value to something else. We can say Adamu should run at 20 meters per minute. So this will now be Adamu's new speed. So we can change it. So an attribute gives us more information about that tag. Let me come to sleep. We can say sleep with coverlets. Yes. Initially, we told Chinedu to sleep, but we did not tell Chinedu whether he should use coverlet or not. But with this now, we are telling Chinedu, go to bed, sleep, yes. And while sleeping, ensure you use coverlets. So this is now more descriptive. Is more descriptive. So this is an attribute. I also want us to note something here. Each tag has its own attribute. For instance, I can't come here and say coverlet, yes. Because how do you run with coverlet on you? And speed, I can't use speed for sleep. I can't say speed. I can't say speed 20 meters per second. Of course, you don't run while sleeping. You don't run while sleeping. So the tag will tell us the attributes you can use with it. You can't just use any attribute with any tag. No. Each tag has its own attribute, its own characteristics. So remember I said an attribute is the characteristics of a tag. So you can't just use any attribute with any tag. No, there are some specific attributes with specific tags. So I can use speed with run. It makes sense. But I can't use coverlet with run. It doesn't look sense making. Do we understand? Do we have any question on this? Okay, let's proceed. Before we start writing HTML codes, I need to now talk about something called self-closing tags. self-closing tags. Self-closing tags are like outlier, or we say in every 12 there will always be a Judas. The Judas in this case is self-closing tags. Like they don't obey commands. What does that mean? They are a bit different from what we've been saying so far. You know, I told us in our last class, that was yesterday, that when you create a tag, when you open a tag, then you close it. When you open a tag, you close it. When you open a tag, you close it. When you open a tag, you close it. But these self-closing tags, you don't close them. Although they are only few, they are not much. You only open them without closing them. They are only few tags. As we proceed, we are going to see some of these tags together. They are just few of them. Most tags work like this. When you open, you close. But there are few tags that don't obey this. Very few, and we look at them at the very right time. But I am calling our attention to it in case maybe we use one and you are like, oh, you didn't close this tag. That's because it's a self-closing tag. But most tags are like this. So having discussed that, let's now start writing HTML codes. Well, this sleep, talk, and run, they are just for the sake of explanation. Let's write two codes. Okay, let me start with this. The first line here, whenever you want to write code, let me give us a shortcut. If you are using Sublime Text, I'm currently using Sublime Text. On your device, press the less than, press HT. If you're about to type HTML, you can see it has already suggested this. Just press enter. Again, if I use Sublime Text, press the less than, press HT, then immediately press HT, you will see the suggestion, press enter. Normally we need to type this manually one by one, but then this really makes it, so this is the time we use it, encoding. By using this suggestion, it has really made our work easier and make things less stressful for us. How we explain everything we have on this page, I will explain everything to us now. If you are using Visual Studio Code, press Shift 1. That is as though you want to press exclamation mark. If you are using Visual Studio Code, press Shift 1, like you will see exclamation mark, and press enter. You see the same result as this. Whichever one you are using. If you are using Sublime Text, because this is Sublime Text, this is fine. If you are using Visual Studio Code, press Shift 1, then press enter. You will see the same thing. But let's continue with our Visual Studio Code. So let me explain what we want to do. The first thing is this. We have different versions of HTML. Currently, the current version is HTML5. And whenever you want to write anything, you need to first tell the browser that this is the version of HTML that I am using. Again, we have different versions of HTML, but the current version is HTML5. When you want to write code, you need to first inform the browser about the current version, and that is the essence of the first line. The first line tells the browser that the codes you're about to write, they are HTML5 codes. So you press less than this, then you say doc type HTML this. So this line tells the browser that what you're about to write is HTML5. Again, you don't need to climb all of this. Once you just press your less than HTML, and you see that is the first line you have here. So you don't need to cram these things. Don't cram that. Just make use of this, what you have here. But I'm only explaining this one after the other. This first line tells the browser that this is HTML5 code. So let's go to the next thing. Next is, I will remove everything here. Next is this HTML. This is the beginning. Remember, this is opening tag and this is closing tag. This line just means HTML is about to start, and this means HTML has ended. That is, anything you put here should be treated as HTML codes. That's the meaning. Anything you put here should be treated as HTML code. So we are going to put some things within this. We are going to write some things here. So So whatever you write here now will be treated as HTML because remember this is the beginning, this is the opening, and this is the closing. Let's go to the next one. Inside HTML we have head and body. Head and body. Let's discuss what that means. Head and body. To understand how head and body work, I'll first explain something. Let's go to the browser. To run your codes on the browser, right click and click on open in browser. If you're using Sublime Text, just right click and click on open in browser. So this is it. You see this part is the head, while this part, that's this big part, this white part is the body. Again, this part to the top is the head, while this part is the body. Let's discuss what you put in the head and what you put in the body. The head contains description of your page. The head contains it's like a metadata, like the description of your page. That is the head. While the body is what you want to display on the page. The head just contains description about that page, information about that page. Not necessarily for the user anyway. They are not necessarily for the user, but just description about that page. While the body contains the information that you want to display to your user. For instance, I can come here and say, hello, how are you doing? How are you doing? Hello, how are you doing? Save it, Ctrl S, and go to the browser and refresh your browser. Oh, it's inside the body. Hello, how are you doing? Let's come again. We have the doc type, which tells that this is HTML5. It's very important. Please add it. It's the recent version, and other versions are not advised. They are not. I don't advise us to use them. Then open HTML, close it to tell us the beginning and the end of HTML. Inside HTML, divide it into two, head and body. The head gives us information about that page. The body contains what you want your users to see. So we are still coming to the head, but for now, let's just write something inside the body. Put something inside the body. Right click on open in browser. Then immediately click on open in browser, it will load it on the browser. Here is the results. Hello, how are you doing? Let's put some other things inside the body. I am a boy. Save it. Go to the page and this. Hi, I'm a boy. Any questions so far before we proceed? Do we have any question? Okay, let's move on. Okay. You want to ask a question?
The what of some of us that use the phone app,
Okay.
not using Sublime or the
If you use the
I'm using phone app.
okay, if you are doing it on phone, just click on preview. If you are using phone, after writing your codes, after writing all of this, click on the, if you are using the app I sent to you on the group, click on preview, you will see the same results.
Okay.
Okay. So let's proceed and let's talk about this head. Remember I said the head contains information about that page, while the body contains what you want your users to see. Let's put some things inside this head. I can put a title. Before adding something inside this title, I want us to note something. Let's go back to our page and see something. Note this. Look at the top here. Remember I said from this upward is the head, while this is the body. Look at the top here, my new class.html. That's the name of the file. But with the title, if I put something inside title, it will replace this with whatever title I give. I type there. So I will come here and type a title. I can say maybe HTML class, something like this. Just put something here. So if I refresh now, Do we realize that it has changed to HTML class? The title of the page has changed. So we've looked at a tag like that. We've looked at the title tag. The title tag commands the page that, oh, come here, change the title of that page. Change the title of that page. Let's look at some other tags together. Like I said, I only use the sleep on and the likes as examples. But let's look at some other tags together. We have the H1 to H6 tags. What does that mean? Again, remember, whatever you want your users to see will be inside the body. So H1 to H6. H1, we call these the heading tags. Heading tags. What they do is they help you to define heading, the heading of something. Look at it. H1 is like the main heading. H1 is the main heading. H2 is a subheading under H1. H3 is a subheading under H2. That's how you're going to use it. H4 will be a subheading under H3. On and on like that. H5 will be a subheading under H6. Just like we know that if you say who is the number one person in Nigeria, we talk about Buhari. So that is like the H1, like the main heading. The number 2 is Professor Yemi Osinbajo. That will be the H2, like is a step lower. Then the number 3, Senator Lawan. That is the H3. On and on like that. So H1 is like the main. H2 is like a subheading under H1. H3 is like a subheading under H2. Let's look at these things better. Let's write tags. Remember, this is how to write tags. You write less than, then the tag. Maybe I want to write about animals. So this is the main heading. Under animals, I want to write about, let's say, mammals. Okay, I can say under animals, and animals are lovely creatures. Then under this, I want to talk about mammals. Let's say a mama has maybe something like this. So this is like the main heading. Why this is a subheading under the main heading. Maybe under mama I still want to talk about maybe primates, something like that. Let's stop here. Primates. I want to have this. I just cite some things. Maybe I just say something else. So this is the main heading, H1. This is a subheading under this main heading, and this is a subheading under this H2. If you run it on the browser, you look at the results together and see how it looks like now. So can you see that this is big? Because it's the main heading. Because it's inside H1, that's why it's big. And that's why it's also deep. Then, of course, this is not inside anything. Then this mama is inside H2. It's a bit smaller than H1. And it's not also as deep as H1, I think so. Then H3 is a bit smaller than H2. Then H4 will be a bit smaller than H3. H5 will be a bit smaller than H5. H6 will be a bit smaller when compared to H6 will be a bit smaller when compared to H5. Do you understand? Okay, let's move on. In other words, what we want to do is, let me open Microsoft Word. I think one of those things I love doing is to compare Microsoft Word with HTML. You say whatever you can do in Microsoft Word, you can do with HTML. The only thing is Microsoft Word will not run on the browser, and that's why you are writing HTML codes. Again, whatever you can do in Microsoft Word, you can do with your HTML. The only difference is Microsoft Word will not run on the browser, and that's why we are writing it here. If not for that, we would have used HTML. would have used Microsoft Word. So this, you can do this in your MS Word. Now let me quickly warn us about something. You know that H1 is bigger than H2. H2 is bigger than H3. So some people, for that reason, when some people want to make a text big and bold, they use the H1, H2, H3. No, that's not the purpose of the H1, H2 to H6. That's not the purpose. The purpose of the H1 to H6 is to tell you that this is a heading. It's specifically to define heading of something. Not just to make a text big. No, not just to make, although the text will be big because headings are usually bigger than the content, the other things on the page, but and they're also usually bolder than other things, but that's not the primary purpose of this H1 to H6. The primary purpose of H1 to H6 is for a text to be defined as an heading, that for it, so that when you see this, you know that this is heading. What's the significance of this? You see, if I go to Google and I search for something, if we search for something, maybe I search for animals, it's going to use this animal that I searched for and start, we call some things web crawler. It will be crawling through these pages and be looking for this H1 to H6. Again, if I search for animals on Google will take that text. Why is it echoing back? Can we hear me? I think it's fine now.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So if I search for, let's say, animals on Google will take this text and start looking for this H1 to H6. It will be looking for the pages that contain animals as part of the H1 or H2 or H3 to H6 and fetch such information or such page for me. So it uses this text in this place, in this H1 to H6. It uses this text to fetch information to users. So now imagine that on my page is not about animal, but I just talked about animal. Just say, let me give an instance. Let's just say on this page is about myself. Maybe on this page I have, my name is Taye Abidakun. I am a full stack developer. I love animals. And let's say I have this. I'm a full stack developer. I love animals, and I want these animals to be bold. And now, instead of using other tags, we are going to use other tags that you can. We are going to look at other tags. I now decided to use maybe H2 or even maybe H5 or something like this. Let's look at the percussion of this. I love animals. This page is not about animals. This page is about me. So when someone goes to Google and search for animals, it will fetch my page, and my page will not be relevant to that person. Do you understand? Because it's going to use this H1 to H6 to fetch such page, but my page is not mainly about animals. My page is mainly about other things. These animals is just, maybe I just have some I only just mentioned animals here, but not mainly about animals. So it's going to be useless for people, for visitors of this page. So if someone goes to Google and search for animals and you see a page like this, then you ask yourself, what's the essence of this? It looks useless to you. So please don't use H1 to H6 to bold something. If this is, let's say, H3, if this is H3 like this, and you can see it's big and bold. It's big and bold. It's bad. You don't use H1 to H6 to make a text bold. That's not the primary purpose. The primary purpose of H1 to H6 is to define headings, and that helps Google or other search engines to know how to index pages or fetch the content of pages. Let's proceed. So since I said you don't use H1 to H6 to make a text bold, then what do you use? Well, CSS is the best thing to do that. Like I said, CSS helps to design your page, so you can use CSS to do that. But then you can still use something like Strong. So how we change this to Strong? Strong. This Strong will make the text inside this place bold. to make it bold. Let's run it on the browser. I love animals. This is bold. When you use strong, you are calling attention to something. That is the essence of strong. Let's look at another one. We have other tags. So far we've looked at the H1 to H6. We looked at strong. And we also have the good. I think I opened this. I want to liken it to what's it called? What? In MS Word, we have this B. We've looked at this. I said you can do that using strong. There is also bold in HTML anyway, but we don't use it. We don't use it again. You can use this bold keyword. Let's look at that tag together. You can come here and say B for bold. B is bold. It will also be bold, just like strong. But then why did we stop using B? You can see we have the same result. I love animal. It's the same. But then please don't use it. Why? The world of web development, it evolves, and things we improve on things daily. In fact, you need to keep improving on yourself to meet up with this rate of changes. Now, the reason we changed, or the reason things were changed from B to strong is this. You see this B? It's not useful to people that have eye defects. Some people can't see your page. They can't see it. They use tools to read the content of your page. We call that screen reader. I mean, when the blind people visit your page, they can't see the content of your page, but yet they are using your page. Screen reader will read out the content of this page to them. It's going to read out what is on the page. Unfortunately, screen reader will not tell them that this is bold. It won't, because B tag, screen reader does not identify this B tag, so it's not going to tell them that it is bold. But if this is strong, like this, screen reader understands this, so it will tell them that, oh, this is bold. So that is that. Then let's look at another one. Hi. This way italicize it. Let's run it. But again, don't use I. Use something else, because screen readers don't understand this. Instead, use EM, which stands for emphasis. EM. So you have the same results. But don't use the I, use the EM, because screen readers can't read I, but it can read EM. So when it gets there, it will tell them that there's emphasis on this, which is better, because if it were to be the I, it's not going to tell them. Let's look at another one. We used to have one called delete, but it has been removed, and please never use this. But let's say hello. Good, it has been crossed out. But again, screen readers don't understand this. Instead, use this strike. I think we have a strike. Hello. Use this instead. This is very bad. This one specifically, in fact, among others, this del is very, very bad. You can use it. I think I once heard of a case like that it was once used to cheat someone. The person reading it didn't know that it has been crossed out, because screen reader will not tell the person that it has been crossed out. So the person just signed unnecessary deal without knowing. But with this now, screen reader will tell the person that this was crossed out. So we've looked at some of these tags together. So far, we've looked at the strong to make something bold. We looked at the EM to emphasize something. We've looked at the strike to strike to something. Let's look at some other tags together. We also have the U. Okay, let's look at the lists. We want to look at something called lists. So imagine I want to do something like this. Let me do that in HTML, in Word, Microsoft Word. I want to list something out like this. Maybe tea, milk, sugar. I want to list out things like this. HTML allows us to do this also. Let's do the same thing in HTML. First, we have a list can either be ordered list or unordered list. This that we have here is unordered list, while this one is ordered list. Tea, milk, sugar. This is ordered 1, 2, 3. It may be I, it might be, but then this is ordered. But this that you are using symbol is unordered. So this is ordered list. This is unordered list. Let's look at the two of them. If you want to create ordered lists, you come here and say OL. OL stands for ordered list. So inside this, I have tea, milk, sugar. I can say LI, which is each. This L line will tell you each of the items there. Tea, milk, sugar. So this order list starts here and it ends here and it has 3 items. If I run it on the browser, let's look at the results. Tea, milk, sugar. Let's create the unordered list. Unordered list is UL. I'll just copy these 3, tea, milk, sugar, and put it inside this UL. So when we check it, you have this tea, milk, sugar. So the difference between these two is just this OL and this UL. Maybe you want this to be Roman numeral instead of being 1, 2, 3. CSS will help you do that. That is not to be done with HTML. And get CSS, you'll be able to explain it. Style it better. Maybe you want it to be I want to change the symbol. You can do that with CSS. Remember, the purpose of HTML is just to create a layout for you. Then we also have another tag called the P tag, which is paragraph. Whenever you want to write text, maybe actually a lot of text, you can create this. Hello, how are you doing? Hello, how are you doing? So it's hello, how are you doing? So let's now combine all of these things together and create a page. I want to create a composition about myself. So the title of the page is composition about myself. Composition about myself. So when I get to the page, the title would have changed. Composition about myself. So first is maybe H1. I'll say myself. So I have myself. Under it, I want to write some things about myself. So I can create a paragraph. I can say my name is Taye Abidakun. I am a Nigerian. So this is a paragraph to define text. On it, I have this. Let's proceed. Under this, next I want to talk about my maybe academic background. Now, academic background is under myself, so I can use H2 to define that. H2, let's say academic background. Then I can write another paragraph inside this. I can say I am a graduate of, let's say, biochemistry at Caltech. So I have this. Let's on it. So this is under academic background. Just note how I'm doing this. Again, maybe I want to talk about career. This is still under. Remember, notice something. I'm using under H2. That's because I'm still under myself. Let's assume I want to talk about more information on the academic background. Then this one will be H3. It will be H3. If I want to give, maybe I want to talk about another subheading under academic background, then this will be H3 because it's under this H2. But because the information I want to give or what I want to write is directly under myself and not a subheading to academic background, then I can put it here. Maybe career. So I can say okay, I work with it. I work with modular emitter and I south of software engineering department at SQ College ICT 2021. So maybe we have this. So this is under career. Just note how I'm doing this. Main heading, paragraph, a subheading under the main heading, paragraph, another subheading, paragraph. Now, next is I want to talk about my likes and dislikes. So I can use H2 again. Likes. Then I can create a paragraph. These are the things I like. So let's now list out those things. Let's list out those things. We can now use the ordered lists. So I can put that within this paragraph. I can say I want to use an ordered list. So I love chess. I love I love to speak also. So if I check the browser now, note how these things are arranged. Any questions so far? Hello everybody. Are we together? Do you have any question?
My question is, can I have multiple H1?
Can you?
Can I have multiple H1?
Oh no, while it's possible, it's possible, it's not going to throw back any error, but it's not cool. You can have a single H1 because your page, this page, we have only one center point. This whole page we only have one center idea, while every other thing on that page we need to buttress that center idea. You understand? This whole page will be about a particular thing, while every other thing on that page will be on that thing. You need to buttress that single point. So that has most times, and which is the best practice. You have a single H1, but you can have multiple H2s, multiple H3s, and the likes. But it's cool because so that when Google wants to, because of Google, I can even change this to my name, Abidakun. So that when anybody go to Google and search for Abidakun Taye, instantly Google will automatically fetch this page. Once Google sees H1, it knows that H1 is like the center idea of the page. So Google will quickly fetch my page to that person, this particular page. Google will quickly fetch this page and show it to the person. Do we get the idea now?
Yes, I get the idea. But why I was asking, in a site where you have so many resources and info, home, you can have home, you can have other things, contact. So how do you create those yes,
Okay.
columns or app?
Okay. We are going to look at some other tags as we proceed, and in fact, you will even create those things yourself. We have different pages on your page. We do all of those things, but at the moment, all we are doing presently is just for a single page. But in our next lab, before we finish these sessions, we will see how to create all those tags, all those other things: home, about us, contact us, and all of that. You'll be able to do all of those things. You'll be able to.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Now, let's look at. Okay, I'm afraid of giving us too many things at once, but then let's look at some things. Maybe we can work till 10. And one is 10, we can call it a day. Then we continue from there tomorrow. So let me. There's something we call commenting. Good. I think this is very important. There's something we call commenting. What is commenting? You use commenting to drop comments on your page. When you comment something, that part will be ignored by the browser. Again, when you comment something, that part that you commented will be ignored by the browser, meaning the browser will not read the quotes around that part. It will just ignore the quotes there. The purpose of commenting is to, most time when you are building an application, you won't be the only one working on that application. Other developers will be working with you. Maybe you want to drop some messages for other developers to see. When they see your codes, you want them to quickly understand that part very well. So you can drop some comments there. Users will not see those things, but those developers will see the comments. And also it can even be helpful to you, because after writing codes, you might have to revisit the same codes maybe in the next, let's say, 5 years. If you didn't write comments, you may not even remember the reason you wrote those codes because at that particular session. You may not even remember. So with comments now, you can quickly drop some comments. Remember, the browser will ignore your comments. But when I open the codes, I will see the comments. So when you open the codes after, let's say, 5 years, you will quickly understand, oh, this is the reason I wrote these codes. So let's look at comment. I can now say, I can say this is academic background. Okay, it starts here and it ends here. I can come here and write a comment and say academic background. Starts here. Then I will come here and say academic background and here. Now, if you go to the browser, it will display it to the user, but that's not what we want. This is academic background starts here, academic background ends. Okay, that's not what we want. We want to now comment it out. To comment, you just go to that line and press Ctrl // Ctrl // So I will go to this line now. This is the line I want to comment out. Go to that line and say press Ctrl /. I've commented it. You can see that it's not as bright as other things on the page. If you are using your phone, you won't be able to press Ctrl /. What you can do is you go to the beginning of the line and you press less than, exclamation mark, 2 hyphens. Then you go to the end, hyphen, greater than. Again, if you are using your phone, let's say I want to comment out this, you go to the beginning, less than, exclamation mark, hyphen, that's the beginning. Then you go to the end where you want it to end, hyphen, greater than. So this tells us the beginning and this tells us the end. You can also comment multiple lines. Maybe I want to comment all of this. If you are using your laptop, just highlight all of them and press Ctrl /. It will comment everything. But if you are using your phone, go to the beginning again, less than, exclamation mark, hyphen, then go to the end, hyphen, greater than. It will stop there. Well, I think if you're using your system, it's easy. Just highlight and press Control plus forward slash, something like this. Let me type it out. Control CTRL forward slash. Press these two together. If you press these two together, it will comment it out for you. So let's look at the effect on the browser now. I've commented this line and I've commented this line. If I get to the browser, I won't see them again. They've been removed. The browser will ignore the quotes there. But after 5 years or maybe after many years, when I see these quotes, I automatically know, oh, this is the beginning of academic background and this is the end of academic background. So if I want to put anything under academic background that if it be before this line, I can put it here and put new things there. Do we understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is how to comment things in HTML. Then let's look at a few more tags. We have a lot of tags, and truthfully, we can't cover all. And even till we get to the end of this thing, we won't be able to cover all. And I have a good news. You don't need to know all. You don't. You only need to know some. And the more you work, the more you see others. Just know some, those ones that you use often. Know some. There are some tags that you use often and there are some tags that you will hardly use. So know some. For instance, this H1 to H6, know that. This paragraph, know that. But there are some other tags that you won't even need. Should I say you won't need, that you won't use often? And those ones, well, you may not necessarily clamp them. When you need them, just go to Google and search for it and you see it. So let's look at, before we go today, let's look at the input tag. That's where we stop. Input tag. The input tag is a self-closing tag. Remember I talked about self-closing tag. I told us that a self-closing tag is a tag that you don't close, you only open. And I said you only have few of them. Oh, sorry. Just give me some seconds. Okay, let's proceed. A self-closing tag. A self-closing tag is a tag that you only open but you don't close. We only open these tags. An example is an input tag. Let's look at how that looks like. Remove all of this. This is a you don't close it like this. You don't close it. You only open it. So remove this now. So this is a self-closing tag. Go to the browser and see how it looks like. Interesting. So I can type here. On the browser, I can type inside this. You would have seen things like this on pages. Now this input has attributes. Remember, I talked about attributes. I said attributes gives us more information. Part of the attribute here is type. Type. You can see the type is text, which is the default. The default is text also. So meaning that even if there is no type, it is still text. But if you want to change this from text, we have other things. We have type number. This takes in numbers. So here I can't type letters, but I can type numbers there. We also have type password. This is meant to take password. So this is taking password. we have type color. The color here is American English. We type color. This is color. Choose a color. So we've seen different input type. We looked at type text. We looked at type number. We looked at type password. We also have type email address, which is similar to type text, but we'll look at it deeper when we get to form. I think form is one of the last things we will learn under HTML. We have type email. It's similar to type text, but not exactly the same. But for now, you won't be able to identify the difference between this and this. Let's look at this. Input type dates. This is used to collect dates from users. So this is type dates. So you can choose calendar, you can do anything. So this is input type dates. This is the first one, which is the first one is color. This is the first one, color. Then the second one is the text. The third is the number. The next is password. The next is email, and the next is date. Now, if you tell users to fill these things, user will not know what to fill here or here, or because they all look alike. So you can add the text before them. You can say maybe color like this. Maybe I want you to fill your first name here. But we are going to make this thing better when we get to our form. Maybe I want you to fill your phone number here. Phone number. Yeah, I want you to fill your password. Then here I want to fill your email address. And maybe here I want you to fill your date of birth. So now users now know what to fill in each. Color, first name, email. Let me make this person. Color, first name, phone, password, email, date of birth. So users can now fill up it. Users now know what to fill in each of these. Then we can also add another attribute. This is the last thing we are considering today, called placeholder. Placeholder. A placeholder is good. I remember at the beginning of this political season, this term placeholder was like a big deal then. And we know that placeholder is something like something that is holding a position for the main time. Something that is holding a position for the main time. So that is a placeholder also here. A placeholder is something that is just holding a position till the real content comes there. You can't use a placeholder with color, but you can use it with other ones. You can come here and say placeholder, maybe enter your name. Enter your name. Immediately the real text comes, the placeholder will disappear. What's the meaning of that? Look at this. Notice that this enter your name is faint. Immediately I start typing here, it will disappear. And once it's empty again, the placeholder comes back. Immediately I start typing, it will disappear. So I may choose not to type first name here. I can remove this first name and use this placeholder to communicate to the user and say first name. So that when the user sees this, the user knows that, oh, I need to type my first name here. And of course, as the user starts typing, the placeholder will disappear. And once it's emptying again, the placeholder comes back. I can also use placeholder for this. Placeholder, phone number. So I can now remove this. Phone Same with this password. Just that. Yeah. Let's other password. So these are placeholders. Let's have a recap of today's class, what we've learned so far. At the beginning of the class, we talked about attributes, and I explained to us that an attribute is like a description. It describes a tag. It gives us more information about a tag. And we now started writing codes. I also talked about self-closing tag. A self-closing tag is a tag that you only open but you don't close. And this is an example also. You don't close this, but there are only few of them. At the beginning, whenever you want to write HTML codes, this is like the standard. You first write this structure will be on ground. First, doc type, and the shortcut to do, instead of you writing everything, just press the less than HT, then press enter. The structure is already on ground for you, because all pages are like this. They have followed this structure. So instead of writing it one after the other, just press this. And I explained to us that if you are using Visual Studio Code, you press Shift 1, then it will help you to, then press enter, it will help you to set this up. So the first line is to tell you that you want to write HTML5 codes. Next is you open HTML and you close it. Inside this, we have the head and the body. Inside the head, we put the title. I explained to us that the head gives us the description of the page. That's where you describe the content, what will be on your page. It's like the description of the page. Then we have the body. Inside the body, you have whatever you want your users. That's where you put whatever you want your users to see on the page. Then we talked about other tags. We started with the H1 to H6. The H1 is the main heading, while H2 is subheading to H1, H3 is subheading to H2, on and on like that till you get to H6. There is no H7. We only have H1 to H6. Then we also talked about other tags like the paragraph tag, the P tag. The P tag helps you define paragraph. Then we talked about the list, that is the ordered list and unordered list. Ordered lists we number it. Unordered lists, that is UL, we not number it. And inside this, we now put those items we want to list inside the LI tag. So I can now put my contents here. Content here. And I can also put contents here. So if you run the two, one will be numbered. This is the ordered one. The numbered one is the ordered. While this one with bullet is the unordered list. Okay. Then we talked about the input tag, which is used to take text from users. You want to take information from users. So users can fill this input. But I told us that we discuss this more when we get to form. So you can use this to get information from users, and it's a self-closing tag. You don't close it. You don't need to clamp these things. The more you work with them, the more you understand them, the more you know them. So then this now takes placeholder. It can take placeholder. A placeholder is just a text that will fill that position for the main time until the user starts typing there. So you can say type here. So it will fill that place for the main time. Like this till the user starts typing. Okay. Then we also have the type. This tells the type of input you want to collect from the user. It can be a number, it can be a text, it can be color, it can be email, it can be dates, then it can be password, then it can even be, we'll look at another one when we get to form again. Like I said, we'll look at these inputs even more when we get to form. But these are attributes. This one attribute, placeholder is an attribute, then type is another attribute. You can have as many attributes as possible. But like I said, you can't just use any attributes. They are already defined attributes for these tags. They are already defined attributes. So an input can take a placeholder. It can take type. In our subsequent, when we get to form, we look at some other attributes that you can use with input. Any question? We continue from here tomorrow, same time. Do you have any question? Please ask your question, please. Ojuala Olua, please ask your question.
Unmute your mic and ask question.
Is that?
Is your John talking? You should unmute his mic.
From, I can't tell you.
The Ojo should ask question. I think mic is first.
Yes. So please ask question. Okay. If there is no question, we can. Please ask question. Okay. Who has asked question or has, if you have any question or observation or anything before we call it a day. Now, assignment. You want to create a page. On that page, am I still sharing my screen? Yes, I'm still sharing my screen. On that page, you want to do this. Number one, you want to tell the user about yourself. Then you now tell the user to contact you. Something like that. So, description about yourself. Description about yourself. Of course, that will have maybe some brief information, just short information about yourself. Then, now tell the user, do you want to contact me? Contact me. You are asking the user after writing a brief description of it about yourself. Do you want to contact me? Then, now tell the user to input the first name. Tell the user to also input last name. Tell the user to input email address. So you are going to collect this information from the user. User will input first name. User will input last name. And the user will input email address. Brief description about yourself. Then maybe you want to contact me. Tell the user to do this. Do you have any question about the assignment?
Yes, sir. Please. How do we submit the code? Is it the
Okay, just
file
send
name?
it to me on WhatsApp. Or you can send it to the group. I
The
think that
file.
would be better. Or send it to me, private chat.
Okay.
Anyone.
Okay.
Right, thank you very much. Alright. Good night. I will forward the video to us after the class. Have a lovely night. Thanks for coming. I appreciate you. Good night, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, sir.
Good night.
Thank you so much.